What's the popular no acid food that's actually causing your acid reflux? Answer in a moment, but what does it do? It increases pressure within your abdomen. It increases gas-producing bacteria. It also decreases motility or motion within the gut. All these things are leading to acid reflux and hiatal hernia. But continuing, it increases insulin and inflammation. It causes weight gain and weight gain around the abdomen. And lastly, it's frequently eaten with classic acid producing foods, meaning acidic foods that cause acid reflux. So let's dive into the specifics of this so that you can really understand the mechanism. And the first one is that it's increasing pressure or increased intra-abdominal pressure, it's called. It's just pressure within your abdomen. And so what happens with acid reflux, of course, is that the stomach gets compressed, and that pressure is causing acid to come up your esophagus. So anything that's increasing pressure within the abdomen is problematic, and it's going to create the pressure of the acid and also the pressure creating hiatal hernia, that widening of the opening where your esophagus, the tube that connects your mouth to the stomach, passes through. So it passes through an opening, and if that widens due to that pressure of the stomach pushing up, that's hiatal hernia. And the two of them go together 70 to 100% of the time. So we can kind of speak about them together. So sugar is increasing that pressure, which is obviously problematic. It also increases the number of gas-producing bacteria. So you know what it feels like when you have gas, you've got bloat, and there's pressure. That's why it's so uncomfortable. So it's doing that same mechanism that I just described to the stomach and to the diaphragm, leading to hiatal hernia in addition to acid reflux. And it's also unhealthy because those bacteria then multiply, and you can get into a really bad state with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and imbalance in your colon, and that affects not just the reflux, but your overall digestive health, your immune health, hormonal health even. So it's very broad range what happens with that. Also, what sugar does, it slows motility, and everything has a motion and a timing. And so food is in your stomach for 2 to 4 hours. Well, what if food is in your stomach for a lot longer? That's something that sugar can do. Again, you get that buildup of pressure, which shouldn't happen. The food should have traversed through the stomach out into the small intestine, but also it's giving opportunity for any organisms which are there to now happily multiply, creating some of the problems we just discussed. Also, what happens is that with sugar, you get an insulin spike, and insulin is very inflammatory. So with inflammation, which is actually the root of pretty much every degenerative disease you don't want to get, including cancer, diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune disease, dementia, all of these diseases are associated with inflammation. So systemic inflammation has its hazards that way. But an interesting association is that inflammation increases nerve sensitization. So your nerves are more sensitive. Think about the time you had a really bad sunburn, and just even air hurt your skin. Cool water everything hurt your skin, which of course normally it wouldn't do. But so when the nerves are sensitized, we're talking now the nerves in the esophagus and the stomach. So when they're sensitized, even a mild bit of acid reflux will make you pretty miserable because of that increased sensitization. So that can lead you down the path of more and more medication with dangerous side effects, and not to mention to make you miserable. So then you've also got the fact that sugar is associated with weight gain, and particularly visceral fat. So the viscera are our organs, and so you're getting fat around the organs. You get weight around your midsection. That weight alone is increasing that intra-abdominal pressure. Again, a known link with acid reflux and hiatal hernia both. And lastly, when you eat sugar foods, they tend to be associated with a lot of foods that are known to trigger acid reflux, like caffeine, chocolate, mint, and fatty foods. So, like ice cream. So these are the known triggers, and sugar tends to go along with a lot of those foods. So what can you do? As a absolutely avowed prior, not right now, but it's been decades, but also a genetically addicted to sugar. There is a gene for that, but it doesn't mean you're stuck with it. All I'm trying to say is if I am looking at you and saying, you have to stop all sugar, I know that feeling in your heart of like, oh no, like that's my best friend. So I'm not saying that, but I want to give you some tips and tools to decrease the sugar so that that's not a major instigator in what you're feeling, creating acid reflux and hiatal hernia, because it's a big one, and people don't talk about it. They talk about the tomatoes and the onions and the peppers. They don't talk about sugar when it's a major influencer and aggravator of this problem. So it's sort of gradient. One thing you can do to start is see where the sugar is coming into your life. Is it the desserts? Is it the ice cream? Is it just that you do a lot of beverages with sugar in it? That's a pretty easy one. But first of all, you have to locate where the sugar is located in your life. And I'm not talking about fruit. Fruit is brilliant. Not fruit juice, but eating the whole fruit. Okay, so don't worry about that. A lot of times people conflate the two, and that's not the problem. Fruit has fiber and wonderful antioxidants and nutrients and phytonutrients. It's beautiful. So don't worry about fruit, but see where the sugar is in your life. Now, there are things, some of the sweeteners that I use, I have sweet in my life. It's just not in the form of the refined sugar. And this includes brown sugar, so I don't like artificial sweeteners, but stevia is great. Monk fruit is another one. Allulose you can play with and see how that does for you. It also tends to keep you satisfied longer, and that comes in a granular product that looks just like sugar. It tastes quite different, but it definitely gives a sweet, and so for beverages, that's pretty good for your teas and coffees, etc. I like the stevia brand. I have no affiliation, but Sweet Leaf stevia I find is great. It doesn't have that aftertaste. I definitely use monk fruit. There's a company called Chalk Zero, so if you love chocolate, but they use monk fruit. And so these are some of the trade outs, right, that you can do. And then the other aspect of that, and then there's a lot of great recipes, and baking is something that sounds foreign to you, but if you go like on Instagram and you look up recipes with dates or recipes with bananas, dates particularly are loaded with fiber, so they're very satisfying and they're very sweet, so you don't need a ton of them. And there's a lot of great recipes that use dates instead of sugar. So a little bit of maple syrup, okay. So I'm just giving you some of the hints because I obviously don't know you personally and where the stumbling blocks lie. Definitely at issue is the prepackaged foods. So you have to start looking at those and the added sugar. And sometimes it's in silly things, like you really love ketchup and your ketchup has, 5 grams of sugar in it. So these are the things that you can start to just look at labels and start trading them out. And then the less sugar you ingest, the less you'll want. So the other side of the coin here is getting enough protein, getting enough vegetables and fruit, getting enough fiber. And if you start filling your meals with all of those things, you'll find your cravings go way down. So we could talk about this for a long time. I just wanted to give you some helpful hints because sugar is not discussed enough as far as all the deleterious things that it creates in this realm of gut health, acid reflux, and hiatal hernia. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, send in a comment. I love hearing from you. That also helps the algorithm. We're trying to get more people to see this information and more subscribers. So if you enjoy the content, also consider subscribing so that others can get exposed to this, and then you won't miss a video. And I pretty much do one every day, 5 days a week. And that's, oh yeah, thumbs up, all those good things. Share it with friends. So you probably know somebody who's suffering with acid reflux because it's such a common complaint. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.